Most men completely miss the moment when a woman begins to feel real intimacy toward them. Not because the signs aren't there, but because the signals are subtle, psychological, and easy to overlook. A woman rarely says directly, "I want intimacy with you." Instead, her behavior begins to change in small ways that reveal what she's feeling internally. And if you understand these signals, you'll start noticing moments that most men walk past without even realizing it. Today, we're revealing 3 clear psychological signs a woman wants deeper intimacy with you. These signs aren't obvious at first glance, but once you understand the psychology behind them, you'll start seeing them everywhere. And the third sign is the most powerful, because it shows emotional trust, which always comes before real intimacy. The first sign is she begins creating reasons to spend more time with you. When someone is emotionally interested, their brain naturally looks for opportunities to extend interaction. This is driven by a psychological principle called proximity attraction. The more time we spend around someone we like, the stronger the emotional connection tends to grow. But the key here isn't obvious invitations, it's subtle ones. Imagine this scenario: you're talking with a woman after work or during a social gathering. The conversation could easily end, but instead she says something like, "Are you heading out already?" Or, "I was actually thinking of grabbing coffee nearby." Notice something interesting about that moment. She didn't directly say she wants more time with you. Instead, she gently opened the door for the interaction to continue. Her mind is testing whether you're willing to stay in her world a little longer. Psychologically, this is important because people rarely invest extra time in someone they feel neutral about. Time is one of the most valuable emotional investments we make. But the next sign reveals something even more powerful than time. It reveals comfort with vulnerability. The second sign is she begins sharing personal thoughts or stories she doesn't normally share with everyone. Emotional intimacy almost always appears before physical intimacy. When a woman starts revealing deeper parts of her life, it means her brain is lowering emotional defenses around you. Psychologists call this gradual self-disclosure. It's the process where trust builds step by step through shared personal experiences. For example, imagine the conversation starts casually. Maybe you're talking about work, hobbies, or movies, but at some point the topic shifts. She tells you about a challenge she went through, or a childhood memory that shaped how she sees people, or maybe she admits something she's insecure about. Now pause for a moment. That kind of conversation doesn't happen with everyone. People protect their personal stories because vulnerability involves emotional risk. When someone chooses to share those things with you, it means your presence makes them feel psychologically safe. And here's the fascinating part. The more someone opens up emotionally, the more connected they begin to feel to the person they're opening up to. This is why deep conversations often accelerate attraction, but the third sign is where the psychology becomes even more obvious, because it involves physical and emotional proximity at the same time. The third sign is she subtly reduces the physical distance between you. Human beings constantly communicate through body language, often without saying a single word. When a woman feels attraction or intimacy towards someone, her body language begins to reflect it. She may lean slightly closer when you're talking. She may position her body toward you instead of away from you. Or she may find small reasons for light physical contact, like touching your arm briefly during a laugh. These gestures might seem insignificant, but psychologically they reveal something important. Our brains are wired to protect personal space. We only allow certain people into that space when we feel comfortable and emotionally interested. Imagine you're sitting across from a woman during a conversation. At first, there's a noticeable distance between both of you, but as the conversation becomes more engaging, she leans in closer. Her attention becomes more focused. Maybe she lightly touches your arm while making a point or laughing at something you said. Those small signals show that the barrier of personal space is slowly disappearing. And when that barrier disappears, it often means emotional attraction is already present. But here's the deeper psychological truth most people don't talk about. These 3 signs rarely appear alone. When a woman is developing real intimacy with someone, these signals usually start appearing together. She wants more time with you. She begins sharing deeper parts of her life, and her body language becomes more open and closer. When all 3 signals appear in the same interaction pattern, the chances of genuine attraction increase significantly. However, there's an important detail many men misunderstand. Recognizing these signs doesn't mean forcing anything. It simply means understanding the emotional direction of the connection. Attraction grows best when it feels natural and unpressured. When someone feels comfortable enough to open their world to you, the most powerful thing you can do is respond with the same calm confidence and respect. Because intimacy isn't created by clever lines or rehearsed techniques. It grows from something much simpler. Mutual comfort and emotional curiosity. Think about it this way. When two people enjoy spending time together, share personal stories, and feel comfortable being physically close, the connection begins to build its own momentum. Conversations last longer. Laughter becomes easier. Silence stops feeling awkward, and slowly, without anyone forcing it, the relationship starts moving deeper. That's the real psychology behind intimacy. It's not about chasing signals or overanalyzing every detail. It's about understanding human behavior well enough to recognize when someone is opening the door to a deeper connection. So the next time you're talking with a woman, pay attention to the small things. Notice whether she creates reasons to stay around you a little longer. Notice whether she trusts you enough to share pieces of her story. And notice whether the physical distance between you slowly disappears during the conversation. Because sometimes the clearest signs of attraction are not spoken out loud. They appear quietly, through behavior, comfort, and the subtle language of human psychology. And here's where the psychology becomes even more fascinating. Because when a woman begins feeling real intimacy towards someone, her behavior doesn't just change once. It changes consistently over time. Attraction isn't usually revealed in one dramatic moment. Instead, it appears through repeated patterns that slowly become impossible to ignore. For example, think about how attention works in human psychology. Attention is one of the clearest indicators of emotional interest. When a woman feels drawn to someone, her focus naturally gravitates toward that person even in a busy environment. You might notice that during group conversations she looks at you more often than others. When something funny happens, her eyes briefly check your reaction. These small moments may seem accidental, but psychologically they reveal selective attention. The brain instinctively tracks people it feels emotionally connected to. Another interesting signal is how conversation energy changes. When someone feels comfortable and interested, their responses become more engaged. Instead of giving short replies, they begin asking questions back. The conversation starts flowing in both directions. This is known as reciprocal communication in psychology. It's the natural rhythm that appears when two people enjoy interacting with each other. Imagine you say something simple about your day, and instead of giving a quick, "Oh, that's nice," she asks more about it. She becomes curious about your experiences, your thoughts, even your opinions. Curiosity is one of the strongest emotional indicators of interest because people rarely invest mental energy in someone they don't feel drawn toward. There's also something called emotional mirroring that often appears when attraction is present. This happens when two people unconsciously copy each other's behavior. If you lean slightly forward while talking, she might lean forward as well. If you laugh softly, she matches the same energy. Psychologists believe mirroring happens because the brain wants to synchronize with people it feels comfortable with. It's almost like two emotional frequencies slowly aligning during conversation, and here's something many people overlook. When a woman is developing intimacy with someone, she often remembers small details about them. Maybe you mentioned your favorite coffee weeks ago, and she brings it up unexpectedly. Maybe she remembers a story you told, or something you were excited about. This happens because emotional interest improves memory. The brain naturally stores more information about people who matter to us. But perhaps the most powerful signal of all is something much simpler. She feels relaxed around you. Comfort is the foundation of intimacy. When someone feels safe, they stop monitoring every word they say. Their body language becomes softer. Their laughter becomes more natural. Conversations stop feeling like interviews and start feeling like genuine connection. Think about those moments when two people are talking and time seems to pass faster than expected. You look at the clock and realize an hour went by without noticing. That feeling is rarely accidental. It usually means both people are emotionally engaged in the interaction. But here's an important truth about attraction that psychology repeatedly confirms. Intimacy cannot grow in an environment of pressure. When someone feels rushed, analyzed, or pushed towards something they're not ready for, the brain automatically creates distance. Attraction grows best when both people feel free to explore the connection at their own pace. That's why emotionally intelligent people focus less on trying to create attraction and more on creating a comfortable atmosphere. They listen. They respond naturally. They allow conversations to develop without forcing a specific outcome. And ironically, That relaxed approach often makes attraction grow stronger. Because when someone feels comfortable around you, they begin associating that comfort with your presence. Your voice becomes familiar. Your conversations become enjoyable. Your company becomes something they look forward to. And slowly, almost without noticing, the emotional bond becomes deeper. So, if you really want to understand the psychology of intimacy, don't just look for dramatic signals. Pay attention to the small patterns. Notice who chooses to spend time with you. Notice who shares their thoughts openly. Notice who feels comfortable enough to be physically and emotionally close without hesitation. Because real attraction rarely announces itself loudly. It appears quietly, through attention, comfort, curiosity, and trust. And once you start recognizing those subtle signals, you'll begin to understand something most people never realize about human relationships. The strongest connections are rarely forced. They simply grow when two people naturally feel at ease in each other's presence.